So have you ever been torn between needs and wants? Feeling like I don't need this thing even though I want it, and feeling some level of shame or guilt about having wants or desires that don't necessarily fall into the need category. Well, I'm talking about that today and shedding a little light on what that really means and how it can affect our behavior patterns in life. So for those of you who are new here, I'm Ketra Thompson, and I'm a certified master hypnotist, and I help people really reframe these core beliefs on a subconscious level that are holding them back, that are creating behavior patterns in their lives, that are driving their life in a direction that they don't want it to go. And considering the fact that our subconscious mind controls over 95% of everything we think, feel, and do, this is really powerful. Reframing that subconscious mind can really shift things in your life. So if this content resonates with you, first of all, be sure to hit like and subscribe so you can be notified every time I post a new video. And if you'd like to learn more about the work that I do or the possibility of working with me, check out the link in the description below. There is all the information there. You can set up a totally free consultation call so that we can talk and get to the bottom of what's going on with you and see if we're a good fit to work together. Okay, so first of all, it's my opinion that humans are very much divorced from themselves. We're divorced from the natural ability that we were given to tune into our thoughts and feelings and emotions and use those thoughts and feelings as information to help guide us. So it's my opinion that all feelings and emotions are good. There is no bad emotion or feeling. Anger is good. All of it is good. It's like the lights on the dashboard of a car. All those lights on there are just there to tell you something. But if the oil light comes on and all you do is keep giving that car gas, eventually you're going to burn up the engine, right? So it's really important that we're able to tune into our feelings and our emotions, and we're able to satisfy what those are telling us we need. But the problem is, as children, oftentimes we don't have the ability to meet that need. We don't have the resources. We don't have really just any ability to meet it. So what we do is we turn to whatever coping mechanism we can find. So if no one is helping us regulate our emotions or meet those needs, we might use food to get better temporarily. We might use fantasy to feel better temporarily. We might create all kinds of coping mechanisms that are not necessarily helpful in the long run, but they did help us in the short term just to get through whatever we were dealing with. But we were never taught how to shift that coping mechanism and get reconnected to ourselves, which is a big part of the subconscious work that I do with my clients. So we also tend to go through our life and we aren't really tuned into our needs, wants, and desires. And so tuning into those is really important. We just kind of plow through life and we're doing things based on the actions and behaviors of the people outside of us instead of tuning into what we are thinking, feeling, or needing. And that ends up with us betraying ourselves in a lot of ways. We end up not knowing what we need, not knowing what we want, not knowing what we desire, and instead we appease the people around us. And so there is this repetitive betrayal of ourselves going on. And over time, that really builds up. So when we aren't tuned into those parts of ourselves, we aren't actually giving ourselves what we need. So the first step is to start asking yourself every day, what do I need? What am I feeling? What do I want and desire? And the problem when you start this exercise can be that a lot of people feel like, I don't need this thing that I want. And because they think they don't need it, they put need in the category of food and shelter. But in reality, these wants and desires are sending them a message. They have a desire for something or a connection or a relationship or whatever. And they think that they are not allowed to have it or it's not a priority because it's not a need. But I don't believe that for 1 minute. Our wants and desires are needs. because they're sending us a message. They're telling us something inside of us has a desire that is going unmet. And if you starve yourself long enough by betraying yourself and not tuning into those wants, needs, and desires, then it becomes this thing that grows in you. So this is sort of the same concept that I talk about when I say that we need all of the love languages. So the one we end up focusing on is the one we're not getting. And then maybe in another relationship, that person does give us that specific love language piece, but doesn't give us another part. And then all of a sudden, we're focused on that other one we're not getting. So we tend to focus on what we're not getting because that creates this need in us. And so it's really important that we do tune in to what's going on, what those wants and needs and desires are, because if we are depriving those things in us for long enough, that's when we end up with the breakdown. That's when we find people with the midlife crisis. And what is going on is our bodies and minds are incredible. They will try to solve a problem for us in any way that they can, even if it means causing physical ailment to get our attention. Whatever it is, it will decide that it's going to solve the problem. And so if there's something really off balance in your life and you aren't addressing those needs, wants, and desires, then your mind is going to do it for you. And it's going to have this massive implosion, right? Sometimes that ends up being an affair. Sometimes that ends up being a health issue. Sometimes that ends up being the huge outlandish purchase, the Corvette in the midlife crisis scenario. It ends up being something that can cause a lot of damage to you because it is forcing its hand. It's forcing this implosion of your life, which will in turn force you to deal with some stuff. And that's not where we want to end up, right? We don't want those moments that absolutely destroy our life to have to happen before we're willing to take a look inside of ourselves. So the thing is, we're oftentimes living our life trying to remedy our childhood trauma. So if we were neglected, if we were abandoned, if we didn't have our needs met emotionally, physically, whatever it is, sometimes we're drawn to that in our adult life, to someone who represents that same struggle, because it's like that inside part of us wants to redeem it, wants to make this scenario end differently so we can have our happy ending, so we can prove to ourselves that we're lovable, that we are wanted, that we are worthy. And it ends up wrecking our lives sometimes because we're operating on an unconscious level. We don't even know what's driving this behavior. So that's why it's so important to tune in to what's going on inside of us, our feelings, our wants, our needs, and our desires, so that we can have a level of discernment about what actions to take in life, so that we aren't betraying ourselves. And it's really important to do the inner work of realizing what is driving those behaviors so that you aren't trying to recreate childhood trauma in an attempt to redeem it, so that you're actually able to let go of that, because the childhood trauma has become a part of you, but it isn't who you were to begin with. So getting back to who you were before that, the freest expression of you, does require that you tune into what's going on inside of you. And a lot of women, I feel like, have this problem with not being able to express their wants and desires because they've really been told that that's not something they need and they're supposed to line up with a certain societal standard of who they are. But I think it happens to men too. Men function typically in a little different way and tend to be a little bit more risk-taking in some areas of their life. However, they aren't always tuned into their deep emotional needs, and so they, even if they're aware of them, they aren't expressing them and aren't connecting with other people in a way that's deeply satisfying. So the point is, there isn't a difference between your needs and wants and desires. They are all important. Wants and desires are just as important as needs. And if you sweep them under the rug long enough, you will create so much tension and pressure from that self-betrayal that you will end up imploding in some area of your life. Instead of living from a place of centeredness, being connected to your self-worth, where you're being assertive, setting boundaries in your life, and expressing your needs and wants and desires. And expressing them is really important, regardless of whether or not someone else can meet that need. It's human to have these needs, and it's assertive when we're able to express those to the people closest in our lives. So, if you'd like to get help with this kind of an issue, I would love to hear from you. Set up that consultation call. We can talk this out and see if this customized hypnotherapy process that I use can help you on a subconscious level finally get connected to yourself, your self-worth, and your confidence. But today, you can start on your own by checking in with yourself, asking yourself what you're feeling, asking yourself what it is that you need, want, or desire, and asking yourself, what is the next smallest step that I can take to move toward the life that I want? To move toward the love that I want, the connections that I want. Because at the end of the day, we are very social beings. And it's my opinion that connection is the thing that sustains us. Even scientific studies are showing that now, that connection is what gives us longevity in life. So don't ignore your need for deep, authentic connection, and don't let those old programs in your subconscious mind keep you from having the life that you love. You are worthy of investing in yourself, and that is the only investment that will never steer you wrong. Investing in yourself is incredibly important because you are the one that you're going to wake up with every day, regardless of whether you're with someone else or not. You cannot escape you. So, if you'd like to learn more, again, check that out. And until next time, I hope you curate a life by your own design.